All right, welcome back to the third part of the submission. We've already covered the first 16 books in two parts, and today we're going to do the last 9 books in the 25 book submission. The last book we did was X-Men 107, the first Starjammers, so big issue and a great result. If you haven't watched that, go back and have a look. Today we're going to kick off with more X-Men and some Wolverine comics to finish off the submission. So what I'm going to do is what I always do, and I will go through every book. I will tell you how much it cost me. I will tell you what I did to it, if anything exciting, and what my grade expectation was from CGC, and then we'll do an unveiling to see the grade that we got. So make sure you like and subscribe if you like this kind of thing. I like to do these submissions. I'll be splitting them up into 2 or 3, and we'll see how we go. And if you've got any thoughts on that, drop me a line. I'm trying to keep the videos around 10 minutes, and we'll see how we go. So without any further ado, let's get started. We've got X-Men 136. As the first book off the chopping block. Had this book a few times before from 1980, and part of the Dark Phoenix saga. A nice cover, popular book. Paid $49 for this, maybe a little bit too much. From a seller I'm still a bit iffy about, but we'll see how we go. Had a bit of tanning, which I removed, along with a lot of red ink transferred from inside the front cover. So over time, as the front cover sits on the front page, some of the ink transfers, and the red in particular seems to go through, and then becomes visible through, and it can look quite ordinary. But with a bit of treatment, that can completely be reduced back, and without damaging the book, obviously. And I thought the only thing then left after that was a small ripple to the front cover on the bottom right edge, which broke color, and the corner there was a bit soft. And I thought I was going to limit it to a 9.4 and hopefully no worse. So essentially you see expecting a 9.4 and got 9.8. This has been a great submission. So that rippling, I realized that I thought was going to impact it. I've had on other issues of issue 136. It must be a standard defect in this issue, because I've had issues where I've had a newsstand version of this come back very high grade, and it had it along the top and the bottom. So great way to start the final part of the submission, and that book has a fair bit of value in it. So moving on to X-Men 143. I think this was the last Claremont and Byrne X-Men. I'm not sure off the top of my head. A nice dark cover. So it cost me $32 from a relatively trusted seller. The bottom staple had a bit of paper showing. I thought it was going to be manufacturing. And a few light ticks and the start of a small crease on the front cover, which might limit it. But I need to recoup because I spent a fair bit. I spent $32, I said, so I need to try and get some of that money back. Sent it to CGC expecting and hoping for about a 9.6 and got a 9.6. All right, that's good. So the notes are tear on the bottom staple. So yeah, that little bit of fiber showing there, yeah, it's definitely an issue. So happy to get 9.6 and no worse than that. Moving on to X-Men 173. Yeah, so it's Wolverine and Rogue on the cover on a black background. And I believe it's like the origin of the Silver Samurai and something else. So there is a bit of a relevance to the book. Cost me $18. There were 2 ticks on the front cover which were light, and it's tricky when you got the black cover because they're so visible, you can't really hide anywhere. The back cover had a bit of a paint stain going up and down. I thought part of it that was standard, but I wasn't completely sure. I thought 9.4 to 9.6 with just those small little issues there. Says CGC, and they said 9.6, so okay, pretty decent. And the quote is just the spine stress lines to the spine. So the other things must just be manufacturing issues, which is a good outcome. Moving on to X-Men 212. So this is, I believe, the first battle of Wolverine and Sabretooth. A couple of epic battles there. It cost me $19, and it came in, had 3 ticks on the front cover, small finger bend which caused a very light crease on the back cover, and I thought that was going to limit it to a 9.4 to 9.6. Not much else otherwise. Great book to have in high grade. Sent it to CGC expecting 9.4 to 9.6 and got 9.6. And CGC said spine stress lines to the spine, and I think that's fair. Yeah, so not no 9.8s there, and I think that's perfectly fair with those results. So moving on to X-Men 251. Love this cover. It is a new standard edition, and this book was a pain. Cost me $32. I thought it was going to be worth it because it's a newsstand edition, and I'd love to have this in a newsstand 9.8. I don't think this was going to be a 9.8. Had massive bends and figure bends. There was crunch damage. There was some sticky stuff on the back cover. I worked all that out, tried to reduce it. There was some really stubborn stains on the back cover on the bottom right near the spine, the top right near the spine, and so many presses. But I still thought it was going to come back somewhere between an 8.0 and a 9.0. Sent it to CGC, and they said 8.5. All right, so pretty much in the middle range. And the greater notes are crease right top of back cover, crease right bottom of back cover, and spine stress line. So I think that's perfectly fair. Okay, moving on to Web of Spider-Man number 30, newsstand edition. This one cost me $13. And it was a fairly clean copy. I thought it was rare to see newsstand sales of this. So I'm really not sure how to value it. The regular one comes at $90 or approximately for a direct in a 9.8. So we'll see how it went because there were really no issues with it. I gave it a couple of presses, make sure it presented beautifully. Sent it to CGC expecting a 9.8 and got 9.8. All right. So I valued it, I think, at around $200. We'll see what I actually get for it at some point. So keep checking back GPA and you'll see what I end up selling it for. Moving on to Wolverine number 2 from the limited series. Beautiful blue cover. Love this book. I love the whole limited series actually. Bought this for $104. So a fair bit, but it had a slight stacking roll from a trusted seller. And I thought the back cover might have a small crease, so it was on white, and I thought there was a risk of it coming back in 9.6 on that. I sent CGC expecting around a 9.6 to 9.8, and they said 9.8. So great result, back on the 9.8 bandwagon. So along with that one, I also bought Wolverine number 3, but in a newsstand edition. So black cover, and this book can go from, in high grade, I paid $200 because it was high grade from a trusted seller. And honestly, I thought it was just going to be a 9.8 contender when I bought it. And the price for this book is quite high because of the rarity of getting that black cover and then the rarity of the newsstand on top of that. So it arrived, it was fairly clean. I had a couple of very light ticks which make me nervous on black, and there was a small little white spot on the bottom edge which you can probably see. I thought it was still going to make 9.8, but I couldn't count on it. So I was expecting somewhere between 9.6 9.8, and 9.6 would have been painful because I would have lost money. But seeing CGC, and they said 9.8, that's great. So a bit of a relief on that one, and I've valued it around $600. I don't know how much I'm going to end up selling it for. I think anywhere around there will be perfectly good. Great outcome on the Wolverines there. So moving on to the last book of the submission and the last book of this video, which is Wolverine 88 Deluxe Edition. So I've had this book before, but from a different seller. This one, so it turned up, it cost me $67, so I way overpaid for this book because it turned up with some color rub on the back cover, some light creasing. I'll put some pictures up of the back cover. The top of the spine was soft and damaged, and even worse, there were rust spots on the staples, and on the inside, it was really starting to almost transfer in there. But definitely the top staple had a bit of rust on it, and I was curious to see how it would get graded on one staple with slight migration. So since CGC expecting anywhere from 6.5 to 8.5 because I have not dealt with rust before in terms of getting it graded. And they said 9. Wow, okay, so to get into the near mint range is fantastic. And the greater notes are spine stress lines, the crease on the left top of the back cover, scuff on the back cover because there's damage, and staple rust, the top staple. So a 9 with a bit of rust on that staple is exceptionally generous, I think. So very happy with that. Whew. All right, so that completes not just the 9 books for this video, but the 25 book submission over 3 videos. If you've watched all 3, let me know if you prefer having the 8, 8 and 9, or if you prefer a 12 and a 13. I'm happy to do either. I'd be curious for some feedback. Otherwise, the whole submission cost me $2,000, and the total submission profit will be on the screen, but I was actually expecting this submission to be more of a recouping submission with a few $100s of profit. Instead, it turned to a substantial profit of about $2,200. So, and TBD on what happens with some of those bigger values and what I actually managed to sell them for, especially some of the Australian newsstands from the first part of the submission. And if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that. So thanks for watching so far. And look, if you like this kind of content, I'll say it again, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll have a lot more of these videos coming out. And yeah, just thanks for watching.